It's Blake's Buzz Live. Buzz, 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 buzz. It's Blake's Buzz Live. Buzz, 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 buzz. It's Blake's Buzz Live. More, hate less, read comics. It's Blake's Buzz Live.
Buzz, buzz, babies.
Hey everybody, happy Monday. Is that a thing? Can happy Monday even be a thing? I don't know. It's the end of Monday though, right? So the work day's over, you're all back at home, tuning in to learn about some awesome comics. We can say happy Monday night, everybody. I'm so happy to have you back on the show, just like I'm happy to have this returning guest who I always love talking to. It's Blake's Buzz, now sponsored by Metal Ninja Studios. Don't get tired of saying that either. It's pretty cool. I feel legit. You guys should feel legit too, because you're my legit audience that I love so much. Anyways, without further ado, let me bring in the man with an awesome sci-fi comic on Zoop that we are about to talk about. He's been on the show a couple times before. He writes and draws and does everything for his comics. He does Scarlet Twilight and he does August Purgatory Underground. Here he is yet again, Mr. Benjamin Morse in the house. What's up, dude? How you doing?
How's it going? Great to be here. Thanks for having me back.
Oh man, always, man. I'm always happy to have you because it's very cool seeing the stuff that you got going on, what you're working on, and just the cool shit that you're bringing to the indie comic scene. You just keep bringing the sauce. You just don't know how to do bad comics, which is it's awesome. We were just talking about how cool this trade is that's on Zoop, and I'm so excited to talk to you about it. You've been playing around like in the indie scene and in direct market. Now you're going back to crowdfunding. So like just to kick off the chat real quick, like what brought you over to Zoop?
Well, the Scarlet Twilight 4, the campaign for that, I went over to Zoop because on Scarlet Twilight 3, the burden of kind of just doing the campaign stuff, and which is to say not just like responding to people and that stuff, which I like doing, but sourcing quotes for things, printing, getting that stuff kind of taken care of was really holding up the creative side of stuff. I draw and I write and I color and letter and everything for these. So it just was kind of getting to be there weren't enough hours in the day. And I looked at the schedule and thought, I got to find a better way to streamline this. I had been talking to Zoop about some different books I was going to do and thought maybe I should just bring this over here. And I thought it went really well. The reason I went over to them was just to have help with the logistical parts of planning the campaign, figuring out pricing, shipping, all that sort of stuff, fulfillment. What I found in addition to that, they were brilliant at that stuff, but they were also great comics people. These are people who have been, editors at the big companies. They know the industry inside and out. So it was just a great fit. And once I did the Scarlet Twilight 4 campaign with them, I thought this is how it should work. I want to stay with these guys. And that's why we're here for August.
Nice. I forgot you moved Scarlet from Kickstarter to Zoop. I remember that. That's the last time you were on the show. We talked about it. I'm a good host, ladies and gentlemen. I swear.
A lot of comics out there.
There's a lot of comics, and I do a lot of shows, and it everything kind of runs together. This book's about dinosaurs, right? No, I'm kidding. This book is about, I love how you handle war. I love how this because we glorify a lot of, especially in sci-fi, like the lone sci-fi soldier. There's a little bit of Han Solo going. I mean, not like he's not a smuggler, right? But he's got that like bravado and he's got that aura about him, right? But the world doesn't like him, the good guys don't like him, the bad guys don't like him. He basically is blamed for the destruction of Mars, basically. And I love him as a character. I love August because he put that blame on his shoulders, and kudos to your success as a writer, because that vibe is so clear and intricate and really develops him as a character and makes him more intriguing and provides him with even more depth as the issues carry on, right? And like, you know, damn you, sir, for being able to like draw and write so, and like you mentioned, he letters, he colors, he does everything, and it's so intriguing when I see you guys do that, when you can just nail everything, right? And pull it off. It's crazy. And just, you know, you're a very, very talented creator. And I really hope, I'm glad you're finding a new home at Zoop. And I hope your audience continues to grow, man. Cause your books just get better. Every time I read something from you, I like it even more. And yeah, so I kind of hate you too, because you're just good at everything. But that's, you know, it's a minor hatred. But no, it's very impressive. And yeah, I've talked to a lot of people that have gone to Zoop and how they really cater to the artist and take a lot of that weight off your shoulders that Kickstarter tends to pile on, right? And so it definitely changes things. And yeah, when you increase your workload like you're doing just by being the one guy, right? The one nerd to rule them all, anything helps. And everyone seems to say, like, you know, I haven't heard anyone say anything bad about Zoop. Like, everybody's always happy with working with them. I think they're cool because, you know, not many crowdfunding people, you know, reach out to press. Like they reach out, they try and set stuff up for their clients and do all that. And yeah, they're very supportive and very involved in these campaigns, right? And they're also smaller, right? It's a smaller company than Kickstarter, but they're doing more and more campaigns, and so I love how I feel like their involvement increases the bigger they get too. You would think it'd be the other way around, right? You would think they'd be like, we're kind of too busy, or we need to bring on more people, or, you know, make the team, you know, build up the team or something. But yeah, is it still just two guys?
No, there's more. I think there's a few different people.
Okay.
I mainly have dealt with Jordan and Eric, but there's definitely other people in there. I've, you know, get emails from and interact with on, you know, different parts of, you know, whether it's print, whether that's the sort of social media side. So yeah, they've got a good team.
Yeah, and someone we were talking about it on the show the other night too, and they have, like, you know, they have domestic printers, and they have you know, foreign printers, and they're able to kind of do a lot of stuff with people that makes it to where, like, you know, people buying and getting stuff shipped from overseas, it ends up like they've like found a way to print things in different locations to save the buyers, the consumer, like quite a bit of money, which is also very cool. Like, so just, yeah, very, very customer oriented, very client oriented, very, very cool company that just continues to put out quality products, which we are seeing now with August Purgatory Underground, the trade, and it's going to be, it's not just a trade. You can get this gorgeous hardcover, which I'm just, you know, I'm excited to see, just because I know how passionate you are about this project and how involved you are in it, and how you are also a talented designer with a great eye for art. And so I have a feeling this is just going to be like an absolutely gorgeous book when it's all said and done, like very, very shelf worthy.
I think so. I mean, you know, in addition to the creating a comic and drawing and everything like that, I'm a graphic designer, and I'm you know, it's really important to me. And I think this one, and Scarlet Twilight was this way as well. I look at the graphic design of a collection like this, where you have a ton of pages, we have a lot of extras, where you have a really nice format in the hardcover to work with. You have an opportunity not just to make great looking designs, which I hope I've done, but also to do it in a way that really enhances the story, gives you just a little bit extra atmosphere. With Scarlet Twilight, that's, you know, sort of the really 30s inspired design, and there's a lot of great things to riff on there. With August, and this was really fun, and it was really kind of woven into the story, I really wanted to make you feel like this was a 80s franchise that you kind of, I think I saw a couple episodes of this, but I don't remember it that much. Like the Silverhawks or the Centurions, like, oh yeah, there was a guy and he did this. I kind of want August to try and fool you into thinking he was one of them. And the design and a lot of the extras in the book are a chance to do that. So it's partly a chance just to make a really nice presentation, have a really good graphic design, make the hardcover look really great. It's also, I hope, feeds into the story, makes it feel like it has some history that you just don't quite remember, you know, that it gives it some depth. And I think that adds to what the characters are going through and what the, what the ongoing story of this is going to be. I hope it's really feeds into that. It gives you a little bit of that vibe. I look at the books I have that are these really nice hardcovers of, their collections of Transformers or He-Man art from the 80s up to now. And they really just give you the scope of those franchises, and not necessarily the character's history, but the history that you have with those characters. And it was kind of a chance to do that. So that was a lot of fun. And, when I look at putting together collections like this, that's really foremost on my mind. How can I make this a really fun thing to have on your shelf, to crack open and look at? And, how's that going to hit you and add to the story when you reread it?
I totally agree. There's definitely a timelessness to it. And by the way, everybody, I posted a link to the Zoop campaign. We're going to bring up that page in just a moment to kind of show off some of this art and stuff we've been talking about. But that is the link that you can click to go to the Zoop page, check out what's being offered, add-ons, art. There's a bunch of cool stuff you can get on top of just the book. But yeah, there's this timelessness to it that does feel, it's definitely got like some 80s, vibes, and it sings with that era, but it also it also screams with a futuristic attitude as well. Like your ship designs, your architecture, a lot of this stuff you do is very, very futuristic, very just very, it's so gorgeous, Benjamin. I can't deal with it. It's so pretty. Real quick, I want to let's shout out to the chat. We got Mr. Ronan in the house. What's up, baby? We got Daniel Calvin. Is any Daniel? Monday happy? Hey man, if you get line art like that cover you just posted for American Dreams, if that lands in your inbox on a Monday, I'd say it's a pretty damn happy Monday.
I have not seen that.
I can't wait to go on Twitter after we're done here. He just posted it. It looks really good. Let's K-pop. What's up? K-pop, by the way, later on tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern is going to have Evan Carruthers from Talks on to talk about that campaign. That's going to be a fun chat. You guys, I'm losing it. She's a great presence for the indie comic community and is doing shows that focus on Kickstarters. You guys should follow her channel. She's rad people. Also, she agrees with me too, right? She says Zoop is a good site. So if you agree with me, we're already on a good level, in my opinion. But yeah, they print and ship, and like she mentions, a lot of foreign companies use it because of the global shipping, like we talked about. So yeah, Zoop is doing a lot of things smart and just continue to grow and continue to have a list of happy clients that then refer them to other Kickstarter creators, right? Or not, well, crowdfunder creators. I didn't mean to use the K word.
Kickstarter has kind of become, I've gotten used to referring to Kickstarter as a verb rather than, like
it's like the let's play Nintendo, right? Except when we're playing like PlayStation or Sega, totally. It has taken on like its own jargon. I want which is Zoop is more fun to say. Like I'd rather Zoop it up, or I don't know. That's hire me as your marketing guy, yeah. Zoop. I'm ready for it. But no, like as I'm learning myself, it's a big deal when clients refer you, and I'm lucky enough that I've been doing a good job for some people, and I've been referred to some folk, and so like it really does. When that starts happening, it's a good sign. And the more and more people that use Zoop, the more and more people are happy with them. I don't want to say that that's necessarily the case with me, but it seems to be more and more people that hire me seem to be, no, but I'm not full of myself. It's about Benjamin and Zoop. It's not about me, but I will say like they have a good client base that refers them to other people. And that's why more and more indie people are using the platform. And just because it's nice to be catered to, right? It's like you sit in the comfy chair and they bring everything your way on the fancy trays and they give you like different quotes for different, elements for printers, and you get to be like the final decider, but they do a lot of research for you. So it's very, very cool. And when you're a madman like Benjamin, when you're doing these layouts and writing and scripting and formatting and all the stuff that Benjamin does involved in his comics, like he mentioned, it just gets the weight on the shoulders gets a little heavy. It's nice to have some help now, because you have like the day job and stuff too, right? You got a day job, a family, you got other shit going on. So yeah,
I got chickens and cats and all sorts of things to take care of. So yeah.
That's I remember you tell you don't have a farm, but you're like it's on the cusp of a farm kind of.
It's not getting any bigger. We don't have room for it, but we have 13 chickens.
Okay.
2 rabbits, 2 cats, and a pretty big garden. It's doing pretty well.
Nice. So you just get fresh eggs all the time?
Oh yeah, more than
Oh,
we can
man.
handle. In fact, anybody needs some eggs. If you're in the New York area, we have too many. So yeah, stop by.
Are they and they're like, are they like the kind of eggs where like when you crack them, like the yolks, God, why am I talking weird tonight? The yolks, like you guys say yolk with a hard L. That's how we do
That
things
doesn't
in
sound weird
Missouri.
to me. I'm from Cincinnati, and we are on the verge. I've seen maps of dialects. We're right in the verge of Southern drawl,
Okay.
Appalachian, and Midwestern accent. And I did not think there was anything strange about that pronunciation at all. That's probably why.
I always think about stuff like that because someone gave me shit for saying milk instead of milk. But when I say milk, it sounds weird, right? I have to like force myself to like hit that I. Anyway, words. But the yolks are like real, almost like orangish, right? They're like it's not just yellow. They're kind of like a darker hue.
They're on the darker side, yeah. I kind of stopped eating a lot of them because we had so many eggs. We had more than we knew what to do with. And then the last time both my wife and I went for our physicals, they're like, "So cholesterol's going up, guys. What's going on there?" Like, well, we kind of have this problem. We have more eggs than we know what to do with.
We live on omelets.
yeah. No, I really like that would be my if I needed a snack, just get some egg. I would feel guilty if I didn't eat at least like 4 or 5 eggs a day.
Wow.
Just because we have them piling up. It's like I shouldn't be eating, some other thing. That's not piling up. You got to eat some eggs. You got to chip away at that. So yeah,
I thought about that too because we had I had a fried bologna and egg and cheese sandwich yesterday, and I was just like, I'm gonna live forever. It's all beef. It's all beef bologna. That's good, sort of. Daniel says he's already a backer, so already got yeah. And you've got there's 24 days left, 31 supporters. The goal is $5,000. You're sitting at 1,578. When did you went live last week?
We're live on August 1st.
Okay.
This was Zoop's idea, and it was a great idea.
To go live for August and August? Yeah,
it's gonna be the August of August, yeah.
The August to remember, ladies and gentlemen. And it is going to be an August to remember. Because this book is very, very, very gorgeous. We were talking in the green room, and I was telling Benjamin how impressed I was with the back matter of this hardcover. And it's not, we get into a lot of formulaic back matter in the world of comics. There's the cover galleries are gorgeous. Yeah, we need them. I love them. But we get into that kind of like stale territory of like, here's a script, here's the line work, here's some coloring, here's how the colors did this. And it's cool to see it evolve. But I feel like every book does that. Every book showcases the process, and we see it more and more and more. And Benjamin luckily was 5, how many years? 5, 7, 8, a long time.
Like I would say a 9, 10.
Okay, so like a decade of back matter.
Yeah.
That he's had since starting to build this story. Part of the back matter is he talks about it, and this started as a 12-issue deal, and then like with editorial advisement and stuff, it got cut down to 7, and then it got cut down to 4. And anybody who's ever written anything before, they say kill your darlings and be ready for it, but that's a lot of darlings to kill. That's a lot of matter to get rid of when you're so close to a story. So how did you take that? Obviously you obviously agreed with editorial because you did it, but like, how did you process that? And like, what did you do to advise yourself and like what to get rid of, what to keep, what to condense, what to combine? Like, I feel like that was a borderline traumatizing experience, or not traumatizing, but definitely very difficult, I would bet.
I have to say, I thought it would be. And then I sat down and I looked at everything I had. And one thing I knew was that I had also done a lot of back matter stuff that is going to be for a future installment August, when it's like 50 years later. It's a very different story. I knew I wanted to continue with this character for a long time, and I'm going to. So everything I lost, I also felt like you can use this character later. You can use this plot line for this character later. even though they don't do this, and some of these are characters that didn't make the cut into this story, but they are in the back matter. And some of them are ones that showed up and played a role, but they didn't have as expansive a role as they would have. And I looked at that like, well, that's cool. I can make them do that later on, and that'll cause some kind of trouble there. That's just all, stuff you can have other characters react to and move the plot forward with. So I didn't find it nearly as difficult as I thought it would have been.
Oh, cool.
And what I found was that I looked at the story I wanted to tell initially, which was very character focused, almost a little bit impressionistic. And then that lasted 12 issues, and I had a lot of sidetracked things and little diversions. And I guess with the video game, it would be side quests that told you more about the characters. And I thought, as cool as that is, the character was really at the core of this. And when I looked at the things I had to get rid of, I found really quickly, and this is why it wasn't as traumatic as I would have thought it would have been, it was like, wow, when I get rid of this, I'm dialed into August and his troubles and his journey a lot more. And that as soon as I realized that like we had a little bit more of a finger on the pulse of what he was going through and what he was experiencing, it actually made it a lot easier to write in general. And it's really informed everything I've done since. It's helped me to sort of think of a story as like a roller coaster. You're going up, you're going down, you're experiencing stress and relaxation and relief at certain points. And when I looked at how August was going to react to the stuff that he went through, when I cut the fat out, it really made that sort of up and down evident. I kind of saw the curve I needed to follow to make this a really satisfying experience. And I thought, well, this is great. In fact, I'll probably, like, for me, 4 issues is now like, that's what you need to do. That's fun. That's what really works and dials you into the character and keeps you involved. Mm-hmm. So I found it to be like, and I was a little nervous when I started it, but when I just kind of rolled up my sleeves and started cutting stuff, I really saw, like, kind of chipped away at the sculpture and saw something much better underneath. And I thought, yeah, this is cool. I like this. And the cool thing is that, like you said, this back matter is still there. And it looks nice. I've got a lot of artwork, over 10 years of stuff to show everybody and kind of explain plot points that never really would have been covered. And I think that's kind of fun to follow along with too, to see how it all developed. And, like I looked at one of the things I grew up with as an artist was those Art of Star Wars books that they had a ton of Ralph McQuarrie artwork, Joe Johnston artwork. And then for the prequels, Ryan Church, Doug Chiang, I think is his name. Like, all these different looks at things we saw on screen and then different versions of them and then things we didn't see at all. It was great to see that. It expanded the world and it made it a lot more fun. So I think that that's definitely something I looked at this collection as a chance to do that, to give you that extra stuff.
And there's also like a 12 page or bonus.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Almost finished 12-page bonus short, like in between some of the major plot points of the graphic novel. So, and then, you mentioned like the 4-issue sweet spot, and 4 issues, especially in indie, especially on crowdfunding indie, where you're in control of everything, like you're not hammered into an exact page count per issue, right? So your 4 issues, when they end up going like a couple pages over, it ends up being like about a 5-issue trade page count wise, and it's, like 4 to 6 issues is a normal trade, right? So like you're definitely, like you said, you're in that spot. It's a solid arc. And like I know you mentioned also in that you mentioned here and in the back matter that you've got these other arcs planned and the journey. Like, I'm really excited about that journey, because we're talking about like big time jumps, like in between these, in between these arcs. And so we're going to see August age, and the world and the universe changes, and it's going to be wildly different from volume to volume, which is pretty intriguing. What made you decide to want to do that? What made you decide to make these big gaps to kind of jump between releases?
I really wanted to I'm a big fan of a series of novels. They're involve a character called Horatio Hornblower, and it's like a British naval commander, and Master and Commander is also very similar to this, if you've seen that movie. It kind of follows the character through his whole life and through some pretty momentous events. In Horatio Hornblower's case, it's the Napoleonic Wars, and he's kind of a proto Captain Kirk, which is what got me into it. and it was cool to see a personal arc play out in the and in the backdrop is some pretty epic sort of world events. I thought that was a really good contrast, and I think with August, it's something that I always look for because I always wanted this character to be kind of a quiet guy. He doesn't pop off a lot. He doesn't talk a lot about himself.
Yeah.
He's pretty guarded. He's a little bit more of a Clint Eastwood, Steve McQueen type, and that makes it kind of cool to make sure that his surroundings and his supporting cast are really fun, are really involving, are really like vocal. There's a great Alex Ross, I think it's a poster and a stand-up of Superman, and he described his process in one of the art books I have of his, where he's Superman standing there and he's really still and he's kind of doing the standard Superman pose where his arms are down and he's just kind of standing up, and his cape is going crazy. He's blowing in the wind. It's blowing in the wind. And he kind of broke down his process there. And he's like, Superman should be very calm and collected, but his world and his actions are very dynamic. So he made the cape go crazy, but he made Superman stand still. I look at August in the same way. Like August is a calm guy, even in the worst of circumstances. He's looking for ways to make the best of it, to do what he can. And that gives me a chance to give a lot of contrast in the backdrop. Things are going crazy. So the entire saga kind of basically takes place over, the August Purgatory Underground takes place after a pretty big galactic civil war that's just been settled. But it's not really completely settled. And we plant the seeds of that there's still a lot of conflict out there. Mm-hmm. And the entire backdrop of the series is going to be that the galaxy is kind of degrading and getting worse and worse until it's basically post-apocalyptic, but in outer space. And we kind of get to see what this character does throughout all that. And he doesn't react to things like most people would. He really is good, partly due to the events of Purgatory Underground, is at making the best of stuff, is learning like, hey, I'm thrust into a situation that's not entirely fair, but I need to figure out what to do about it. And it's a good way for me to plan out this saga, to make sure that the backdrop of events, that the things he's going to be contending with, are in contrast to him. It makes it, I hope, a good third character. There's a protagonist, an antagonist, and an environment. I hope it makes the environment really strong, and I think highlights what's going to be good about the protagonist, August, and the villains he fights throughout the series.
I love that all this is spinning out of a glorious image of Alex Ross's Superman and a cape. Like, I love Alex Ross. The guy's insane. Remember when I got back into comics in college, my buddy was showing me his art. And then I remember reading like Justice, and I remember reading Kingdom Come for the first time and just being like, comic book interiors can look like this, right? And then which sucks for the rest of you guys, right? I Benjamin, I love your art, and it's beautiful, but it's just like that painterly style, and that signature, those Alex Ross interiors that we rarely get. There's he just mainly does covers these days mostly, right? Well, I guess he did. He did he's doing the
full circle,
full circle, full circle. And then right before he died, they did him and Busiek got back together for like a little Marvels one shot. I remember. But yeah, it's the guy's astounding, and that art just you can't ignore it. And I love that you just made this like whole sci-fi universe analogy from like Superman's cape. That's just that's why you should go back this guy's content, ladies and gentlemen, is because he just gets comic books. He gets the magic of every panel and every page turn, and he knows, he pays respect where respect is due. Benjamin is definitely one of the good ones in the comic book world. We got Gareth popping in. What's up, Gareth? Thanks for tuning in, saying he's going to research Zoop right now after the show. It is a very cool company. I highly encourage it. Very, very similar to it. Very easy to make an account. They have my credit card info. It's safe. Like nothing weird has ever happened. So it's a quick, easy account to make. They got a lot of cool campaigns. They've had some high profile stuff on there as well. Very, very cool people. Very cool platform. Definitely worth checking out, whether you're a consumer or indie creator. John Westhoff popping in. What's up, baby? Happy to have you. I guess we've been talking about it, so let's go ahead and bring it up real quick. Here we go. Let's start scrolling through this campaign page, because it's a doozy, folks. I guess real quick I'll do the let me do the old movie theater or the movie trailer. All right. This hardcover art book and collection includes August Purgatory Underground issues 1 through 4, a 13-page prequel story assembled from various development drafts and almost a decade of sketches, designs, story, and art that went into the development of Purgatory Underground. As a long Civil War ends, the once celebrated hero Captain August finds himself in the center of an intergalactic controversy. Running out of time and options, he accepts a dangerous mission to a decaying planet and finds that the war isn't nearly over. An action-packed sci-fi thriller that remixes the nostalgia of 80s cartoons in a contemporary style. It's a very, very cool book. And thank you. I love this comic. I've been a fan of Benjamin's for a while. Okay, I'll get the cookies. Get out of here. I don't remember how I stumbled it, because you've been on the show several times now, and I know Scarlet Twilight was the first time you popped by, and that really got me. And spoiler alert for you guys that haven't read Scarlet Twilight, but it's been out for a while, so it's your fault if you haven't. But like, I still remember that like kind of timeless old-timey superhero vibe, and then all of a sudden when the vampirism gets mixed in, and then all the twists and turns that you take from then on out, like once that element reveals itself, and I was just like, man, that got me. Like I had no idea, right? I was totally taken aback by it. And then even after that, like just the way you handled vampirism and mixed it in with the superhero genre and the blood gods and the crazy and it was another very cool book that spans a long period of time with very cleverly structured time jumps that that are organic in plot points and in the narrative and stuff. So yeah, it's the guy can tell a story, ladies and gentlemen. It's basically the gist of what I'm trying to get. So here we go. Here's some pricing here. We got you get the $25 PDF, you get the $45 hardcover, you get the $60 signed hardcover. I believe this is clocking in at what, like 272 pages, something like that. So it's
right
a big
now
one.
it is at, I can tell you it's a little over 200. It's not 270.
Okay.
It's but I can tell you for sure. I think we are at 204.
Nice. Okay. Well, I mean, so it's gonna be a nice girthy boy for the bookshelves. It's gonna take up a nice spot on the shelf. And then this, I would love to get like $80 for the book and a remark, and like Benjamin can fucking draw. So like you guys should get this, because a lot of people don't realize this, and I talked about this on a few episodes ago, that like the original art and sketches and stuff that you can get from crowdfunding campaigns is so cheap compared to like getting something at a con table or ordering something from a website or even sometimes buying something on eBay. You can get some really discounted, phenomenal original art. And like, these prices aren't going to stay like that forever, because the world is going to find out about Benjamin one of these days. I don't care how much screaming from the rooftop I have to do, but it's going to happen. And eventually this notion of like a nice $40 remark is like, that's not going to happen anymore. Right. Like it's going to, the prices are going to increase as production increases, as he becomes more well-known. And eventually when like Marvel or DC hires him or something, cause I mean, it's crazy. You're putting out better artwork than they, like there's great writers and stuff at the House of Ideas in DC and stuff. And there's great artists too, but I mean, there's also a lot of mid-tier art in some of these books that end up, forcing that it happens because of deadlines and stuff. Like, I'm not trying to talk shit. I love Marvel and DC too, but your artwork speaks for itself. And I think it's definitely, if someone told me like your artwork wasn't Big Two standards, I'd say, what the fuck are Big Two standards? Cause like that, like what's the air like up there? But yeah, anyway, and then here's some of these pieces, that you can get. And now, so you're all digital, right? So these are going to be these are going to be like a one-time printed
Yeah.
page, and then it goes into the Disney vault. No one can ever get it again.
No one,
Right.
yeah, no one will ever get it. So Zoop suggested this with Scarlet Twilight 4, and I wasn't sure there'd be much of a demand for that. I never thought to do it,
Mhm.
but they did really well. Everyone, they all sold, I think. And so basically, it's going to be a 11 by 17, really nice print of the digital artwork. You get a certificate with it that kind of guarantees I'm never going to like print it out and sell it again. So it's going to be a one of a kind thing from the digital artwork. And yeah, I'm really glad people want to see it, because I think it's the pages they're out there are ones I think would look really cool. And this was all Zoop. They said like, hey, did you ever think about doing this? I thought, no, really. I thought people wanted, it had to be drawn out and have, white out and stuff on it and all that.
Blood, sweat, and tears.
Exactly. And I'm glad people responded to it. So I'm really happy to get it out there. The remarks, of course, will be I'm going to draw those out myself and get my glasses, my readers on, and look like an old person. But to do it, but yeah, that's really a fun thing I found, and it's really a testament to what Zoop can offer. Like they suggested that, and I thought, oh, I would never, it wouldn't have even occurred to me to do that. And it did really well with Scarlet Twilight. So hopefully people want to get in on these too, because there's some pages that I really, really like. Some of them are from previous drafts that were not published. Some of them were from the published comic, and I'm just really excited to get those out there. Oh, I hate that thumbnail of me. I should have smiled. My mom's right. Make it go away. Make it go away. I promise I'll smile.
Here's a mock-up of the hardcover. I love the cover and the spine, the Baron on the spine. He's so bad. I hate that dude, but I love to hate him, man. Like he's a good villain, and I love I don't want to get into too much. I got to reel myself in, because people that haven't read this, I want them to back this and get excited for it. But the way that you showcase his trauma and how, these are military guys, right? And so the idea of the military aspect of like everybody's a grunt that follows orders. And I'm not saying that to be offensive, but like orders in the military are you when you get told to do something, you do it, or you get in a lot of fucking trouble, right? And like these guys don't do that. They have their they have their agendas and these ulterior motives and all encompassing rage and sadness, and that gets flushed out in the bits of their backstory that we get through dialogue and some really great scenes. And so like they won't let themselves really be controlled, neither than the Baron and August. Like they very much like do what they want and do what's necessary to get the job done. And then as we see even later, like sometimes you do what you think is necessary and don't get the right job done. But that's, again, the story is it. I don't want to spoil anything, but Baron's really cool. And I love the showdown and the fight and the action. It's also gorgeous. And the tapestry that you built that interaction on, and like the scenery and the kind of like the ship hallway that's it's like there's a big wide open space and like this kind of thin corridor. There's like people kind of cheering on the other side. Like it was a very, very cool scene that just looked great in panel on the page. That again, just like this is just a really good comic. Now, and this came out, it was Red 5 originally, right? That put out the first 4 issues.
Yeah, last year this was in shops. And we're still waiting to figure out what we need to do for a trade that's going to be direct market. But the direct market trade is going to be basically just the story.
Okay. And it won't be hardcover.
No, I don't think so. Okay. And so there was an opportunity here because I had all this extra stuff, and I do for the next story I'm going to do. I have a ton of extra stuff for that already. God help me. But there's all this extra stuff, and I thought, well, here's a great opportunity to create something that is fun. It adds to the experience, gives you all this extra information, but also, like really fleshes out the world and gives you a peek at what's going to happen with the rest of this. And I think when you mentioned the Baron on the villain of the story on the side of the hardcover, like I'm planning on doing a lot more of these come hell or high water. And I want to make sure like that the hardcovers all look consistent. They're going to look really good on the shelf once they're all done. And, we'll have like the villain up top on each each volume of this, and I hope it's gonna look really cool. I think it will.
Yeah. I'm excited. And then here's just some of this artwork, guys. And Fabrizio in the comments is seeing it too.
Thanks.
He's saying this looks good. He plans on backing. This is like, even the lettering, like, again, like the lettering's solid. These colors are great. The line work. I mean, I've had you on like 4 or 5 times. All I ever do is gush over your line work. I feel like you're a good storyteller too, but it's just these, these pages, man, they always pop and they look so damn good. And I always love to bring this up because it blows my mind. Like, you draw digitally and you don't use a pen and you don't use like a tablet, and you use a mouse. You draw, you do everything, and you color and I do all that with a mouse. As someone who, like, I got a little gaming setup and I got a nice, I got a decent sized mouse. Like, what do you use? Like, do you use like a gaming mouse? Is it like a special mouse? Like, what?
No, it's like a $6 Logitech mouse. And it's a wired one, and this is actually a problem. So I tried the Bluetooth ones, but the battery runs down a little bit now and then, and you get so dialed into doing things the way you do them that when there's like a slight delay, it throws you off big time.
Oh, wow.
And so this is the wired mouse, the USB mouse that's my thing. And it really came out of, my day job back even from when I graduated college was doing line art and things for product manuals and installation guides and things like that. And that's what I did all day. And it really came out of just like, it's pretty hard to, and also styluses were not great at that point. I had a guy in the studio who was kind of my mentor as far as digital art goes. And he was like, well, the styluses aren't that good, but if you put a piece of paper over the stylus tab and that kind of makes it work a little better. And, it just wasn't there. So it kind of became a thing where, like, I'm doing this other stuff 8 hours a day, and to switch gears and to get home and do comics was just not feasible. I kind of had to find a way to make that workflow work for my comic book work. And so, I've made a lot of line work brushes and things like that, made a way to make it all work in vector, which is really helpful for sizing things up. Kind of brought all the stuff I do in my day job into this, partly just to make it work, so I could come home and comfortably switch gears. And part of it just, to give myself flexibility and kind of build upon the skill set I got from doing that other stuff and bring it into this. Because if it was kind of building off in 2 different directions, it would be, I think, kind of a waste of effort and, also just difficult, make everything take a lot longer. So it was just logistically kind of a way for me to figure out, hey, what have I learned doing this? How can I bring it back to this and make it better and faster? Nice.
Also, I love this fake toy ad. And I love it. And then it made me be like, man, I wish there were August toys. Like, I was like, there's these ships and stuff, like, a wealth of cool stuff you could do in a toy universe. So are you worried about doing these remarks when you're so comfy using a mouse and digital to draw? Is it going to be different to like pick up a pen and do something? Or
no, I've done a few tests back in Scarlet Twilight. I do a few sketches. There was a couple backers who got their books damaged, and I made a few sketches for those people, sending back the new version, say, hey, sorry. Nice. And threw in a Captain Lancet sketch. And I found that my eyesight had I'm getting a little up there now, and my eyesight is not what it was. So I'd like go down and try and draw and realize it was kind of hard to see, and got some readers, and then it was fine. And so that was cool. And it worked out pretty well. So I'm actually excited to do those. I like drawing stuff. I love going to figure drawing and doing that. And it's that's usually a bigger, canvas, so to speak. You're drawing on a bigger piece of paper, but it makes it a little easier sight-wise. But yeah, I love drawing stuff out. It's just to do it faster, to kind of integrate that in my workflow, it would just slow things down so much for me that it would be, I'd either need to not do everything I do now, which I really love doing, like the coloring and all that other stuff, or, I would just, it's kind of logistically the only way I can make it work and do what I do. But I still love drawing by hand. I love having the physical thing in my hand that I drew, and, ink splotches and tiny streaks and all that stuff.
Nice. Well, like I've told you numerous times, like, whatever you do, like don't change shit. Like, don't feel like you need to evolve with the times and start using a stylus or a tablet or a Cintiq or whatever they call it, like the weird giant screen things. But because look at this black and white line work. Like, it's so amazing. On the left here, we got August. On the right, we got the Baron that we were talking about. I love that scene that we see here on the right when the Baron literally blows the fucking doors open and just like, it's just such a great like villain introductory sequence that like there's going to be some trouble here. It's not going to be easy for August anymore. Not that I don't think anything is ever easy for August, because he just like, for someone who's so selfless and takes that war crime upon himself and is very much like, I'll be the person that the world needs to hate. I'll be that because of what I believe in. Very akin to like that speech that like Batman gives Gordon at the end of the Dark Knight trilogy. Or it's the end of the trilogy, or is it the second movie? I don't know. It's in the Dark Knight trilogy. Yeah, the end of the second one. But yeah, very, very akin to that, where he's like, I'll be, put the blame on me. I can take it, and you got other shit to worry about. And this is on like a galactic scale. So like Bruce Wayne ain't got shit on August. Like,
not really, no.
You may have more money than August, but fortitude and he's cool. He's cooler than Bruce Wayne. I'll just leave it there. And I love Bruce Wayne.
I'm not gonna argue with that.
But yeah, anyway, this line work is just insane. Here's some of these ships and stuff that you draw, man. Like, it's so crazy. Where do you get inspiration for like bigger stuff like this? For like, what, when you're designing these vehicles and in the architecture, and it's like, do you ever get hung up, or like what do you consume or look at to kind of like, like reinvigorate you and get you back ready to like hit the computer and finish the art?
Well, the as far as the ships and environments go, that I was kind of hoping you'd ask. That sort of He-Man inspired mock-up I did that was part of this was very much kind of akin to that. With all the vehicles, my kind of guiding light, because I knew I wanted this to feel nostalgic, to feel like a revival of He-Man or Transformers or something like that. I always tried to make every ship look a lot like a toy. Look like, not necessarily a toy that could physically work, because some of the things wouldn't, but I wanted it to feel like the shapes were simple. The amount of like sort of embossed parts that come out of them were simple, and that you could see this thing kind of boil down into a plastic toy that, you'd run around with when you're a kid. That was always what I wanted those to seem like, to seem like a pretty simple shape, a pretty simple, kind of an iconic image of something. And then even if it were composed of things that would, as a toy, would work in some instances, but would need some finessing to hold together, to feel like pretty simple shapes kind of clomped together. I wanted it to feel like, hey, these are the toys that I used to run around with, or something like that. I wanted it to kind of have a little bit of a throwback to that. So that was kind of my guiding thing. It's like, I take three big shapes and then find interesting ways to tie them together. But those three big shapes I'd start with, I always wanted to feel like this is something that could be plastic molded or not too complicated. I wanted it to feel fun in that way. So I don't know if that comes across overtly. I don't think it does. But, that's at least something I kind of employed with myself to make it easy. You sit down with a blank piece of paper, you wonder what you're going to do. That was kind of where I started from. I wanted it to seem like, oh, this was that toy, and flush it out from there.
Nice. I mean, yeah, man, I wish I had fucking toys like that now. Like, there's still every now and then, not as much since I've gone to like that freelance life, but like, back when I had a little bit more of I never had a great disposable income. I'm just really bad with money. But there were some nights where like right after like a payday, right, from the hellish day job, where you're just like, what can I buy with this money that I sold my soul to make me feel better for a brief moment in existence, right? And I always look at the old Power Ranger toys from the 90s when I was a kid, because they used to be sold out all the time. So like all I had was the Red Ranger, and it's because my family didn't love me, and it's fine. That was my childhood trauma. I'm kidding. It was not trauma. I have a great.
Is there some sad music we can play here? Like,
yeah,
The Incredible Hulk piano theme, maybe?
But they were always sold out, and so I remember I had this buddy Justin. We used to do karate together in grade school. You guys love it when I go off the rails a little bit. I used to do karate in grade school, and my best friend, me and Justin Price, we used to do karate together. And his mom and dad, like, they always seemed happy, but his mom had an affair with our karate instructor, and the dad kind of lost it and like hired a private investigator and shit. And so my parents made me quit taking karate. So I could have been a fucking ninja master, but you know, someone had to dip the old thing into my buddy's mom, and shit got weird. But my parents didn't feel comfortable letting me go to the karate place anymore, just because he kind of started, they like separated shortly after. It wasn't like a secret affair, like it came out, but then like once the separation happened, there was like some, like I said, the private investigator, there was some stalking stuff. It got kind of weird, and so yeah, my parents were like, maybe we're not going to do karate anymore, and I was like, whatever. But yeah, so anyways, all that was going down. And anyway, my buddy Justin had all the Power Ranger toys, and he had like the Zoids and the figures, and like and you could put them all together, and you know, and I just always had so much fun like playing with those. And they were nice toys, like, you know, the action figures were like 10 inches. They were oversized action figures. The Zords, Zoids or Zords, I can't ever remember. But
this is where our generational gap occurs here.
Like, what is this weird? What is Blake talking about? I don't even know. But yeah, it's but yeah, they all like, they had like the animal, the prehistoric, you know, robots, like the T-Rex, the saber-toothed tiger, the mammoth and stuff, and they all came together, and you could like make them come together in the tank, and then they came together in the big walking robot. And then there was like and then the Green Ranger happened, and they brought in the Dragon Zord and the Tommy figure, rest in peace. I still am bummed about that. But you couldn't buy these things when I was a kid because they were so hot, and they just like were never in stores, or like the figures in stores were like the ones you didn't really want, like the one bad guy no one ever gave a shit about, right? So anyways, I never had any of these toys, and my buddy did, and so I get on eBay a lot, or I used to get on eBay a lot, and especially if I had some drinks in me, and I would almost pull the trigger and like buy, and then I'm like, I'm running out of room. You guys can tell behind me, like, things are piling up. My shelves are full. You know, and I'm like, where do I put these giant toys if I get them? But I still think about it sometimes. And now I'm thinking about it all over again, because now the Ninja Turtles are back at it, and there's all these new Ninja Turtle toys, and IDW's putting out the Santa Luco version of the IDW toys as figures. Like, those look really great, and like all this cool stuff going on. So it's so funny how this industry, this world we live in, we're all still little fucking kids at heart a lot, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the things I looked at this series when I would say about, I think when The Last Jedi came out, was that 2017, 18? I'm not sure. The backlash to that made a lot of sense to me on some levels, and on other levels I was like, what did you think they could do? Like, if Luke was like this triumphant hero his whole life, there would be no more Star Wars. It would be Star Peace, you know, like it would just be everybody sitting on the beach drinking Mai Tais, you know. It would be great. Something bad had to happen. I never begrudged that decision exactly, but I do see like, well, like I recognize that didn't deliver the experience everybody wanted. Yeah. And so I decided, like, I had been developing August for a few years at that point. It's like, okay, I know I wanted a lot of nostalgia in this. I wanted to introduce a lot of that as a big atmospheric element to it. So I thought, well, let's try and find a way to deliver that experience, but get around the problems with like giving you everything you want, because that would be a dumb story, or it wouldn't be a story at all.
That is true.
So I thought, okay, well, let's really amp up the nostalgia stuff in the flashback scenes. Let's make sure it feels like this was another era and we're in a new one now, but the other one existed, and hopefully get around that sort of minefield of your expectations of what like happened to these characters. Not start with like the previous version of August where he was the big hero and everybody loved him, and then you'd be disappointed to see like what happened to him later on. Start with that one, and then like just introduce these other things to give you the impression that he was that person. And I can always go back later and do that earlier stuff if I want. But I wanted to kind of figure out a way to switch that around so you get kind of the ingredients you're looking for when you see the He-Man revival on Netflix, when you see the new Star Wars sequels, and those things, or the Star Trek Picard. There's a real mismatch in what I think audiences expect to feel as far as that bringing that stuff back, and also what would be a satisfying story. And those two things are pretty much at odds. And that's one of the things that really helped me direct, especially when I was bringing this from like 12 to 7 to 4 issues. Say like, okay, well, when I'm looking at what to keep and what to get rid of, what to cut out, those are the elements I want to keep. I still want to be really focused on delivering that experience to everybody that reads this. I want it to feel like something you used to watch and liked, and it is taking a turn, but without saying like, oh, I hate that this happened to that guy, or this guy that wasn't there as much as I hoped he'd be, or I didn't like what he did here. I hoped it was a good way to sidestep that while delivering all the things you wanted from it.
Nice. Yeah. In my opinion, and obviously my opinion matters because it's my show. But, but I mean, I feel like, structurally everything is sound. It flows so well. The 4 issues, they're so easy to read. Every page turn is exciting, and it's very, once you start, it's very hard to say like, I'm going to read chapter 1 and go do something else, right? It's like, all right, well, I guess I'm reading chapter 2 now. Well, I guess I'm reading chapter 3. Oh, let's just knock this bad baby out, and so it's just very easy to consume. And yeah, you did a lot of I know you did a lot of work to get here, and this product shows, and it shows in the narrative, and it shows in the back matter, and just there's a lot of care and fondness of a specific age of sci-fi that and one of the things I love about sci-fi is like the timelessness of it. Like you can still watch Blade Runner and it's beautiful and it's relevant and it makes sense, and like those practical effects are still crazy, right? And in the new world, it's interesting, like in the new world of like no one's ever happy with a Marvel movie anymore. Which I think some of it comes down to, I think our TVs are just getting too nice. Like it's 4K. Now there's 8K and stuff. And there's all this new technology coming out for these screens that we have decided that we need to stare at for the majority of our day. And once that clarity gets to a certain point, it gets harder to hide the fact that some of the shit isn't real, right?
I'm friends with some VFX artists, and I'll say that I think it's a little bit of that, and then there's reasons, like
when they don't get paid enough, and they, like when you like keep people from sleeping for like 8 days, like there may be some slips and hiccups, right? Or those last minute, like, oh, you need to change this. The movie comes out next week.
That's all we should say.
yeah. But no, it's so weird because it's just and I don't notice a lot of that stuff. I just have fun. Like you said about Star Wars, and it's like maybe it didn't go in the direction I wanted or that I thought, but you know what, at the end of the day, Benjamin, is I don't make movies. And if I did make one, it probably wouldn't be very good. And so what right do I have to sit out here and tell whole studios and production companies and actors that like, you're doing a shit job? Like there's a lot of YouTube people that are better at YouTube than I am. There's not many people better at interviews than I am, but I still respect where it's due. But, it's just, there's a lot of stuff that I don't know how to do and that I don't know about. And anyways, long story short, I'm with you there, and I like that. I like that you took these vibes, and it's just like, because it has a retro feel. It's weird to say something looks retro and futuristic simultaneously, right? It sounds like I don't know what I'm talking about. Like you can't be both of those things, It's like Blake, he's interesting, he's ugly and attractive simultaneously. Like no, maybe, but it doesn't make sense. But yeah, I just every page, man, the pages we showcased, and we showed off in that line art. Every panel, ladies and gentlemen, in this book, and even in some of the unfinished stuff in the back matter, it's just it's standout artwork and it's standout storytelling, and it is better. Well, I was gonna say it's better than a lot of what you get on the shelves, even though August was on the shelves not that long ago. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
it's better than a lot of things coming out on Wednesdays, and so I really do encourage people to check out this campaign. And as I've mentioned numerous times, man, like, you know, like, check out Benjamin. Like, every now and then his commissions open, and not just for consumers, but like, I know, you know, it wasn't that long ago you were trying to do like some cover work and things, kind of like,
Yeah, I've done a few covers for other indie creators, and it's been a blast. I really like doing it.
didn't
So
you did something for Charlie, right?
I
Charlie
did. Yeah, I did
McElvey?
a
Yeah.
couple covers for him. Yeah.
Nice. He's good. He's good people. I like him.
Yes.
He does another guy who's on Zoop these days. Well, he plays both sides a little bit now.
I
Like,
think so, yeah.
he does like Kickstarter and Zoop, which there's no rule against that. There's no one's gonna get mad at you or whatever for doing that. But yeah, he's another creator who's found who's
Yeah, he's doing some great stuff.
doing
His-
very,
his
very cool
books-
stuff.
He's building universe through Zion Studios. That's got a lot of fun characters, and
Mhm.
yeah, it's great stuff. You should definitely check that out. I think Spider Squirrel and Trash Panda is still live, so if anybody's
Oh, nice.
into that, it's a really great new comic universe. So it's fun stuff.
Very, very fun. And he has another guy with a great eye for art and storytelling, and really pieces together his teams well for these books to make something really special. Now I know obviously you're you know, repping and doing the campaign, and the campaign's new. He's still got about 3 weeks left. But like, I mean, I'd be foolish not to ask this, but like, I know you probably can't say anything, but like, are you working on anything else, or are you just kind of focusing on like the crowdfunding aspect and taking it one step at a time?
Yeah, I'm working on some art for a work for hire job for another Kickstarter creator. That's really fun. I don't think I can say too much about that. I'll have to check if that's been mentioned. I don't want to say too much about it yet.
Mhm.
I'm working on some projects with some other creators we've mentioned. I'm really excited about, and I'm working on two things kind of semi simultaneously. There's going to be the next version, the next sequel to August is going to be actually the fourth part of 4 main stories for him. I'm working on some pages for that now, and that's probably going to be the next one I do. I'm going to do the beginning and the end of the story. You know, those are going to be the first ones I do, and then we'll go back and fill in the middle.
Oh,
And I think that's going to be hopefully a good kind of Dark Knight Returns way to give you the beginning and the end of the story, and then hopefully create a lot of suspense in the middle of it. And I also have a pretty tight outline for the next Scarlet Twilight written. It's basically going to be, it's 8 issues. It's going to be kind of like if Crisis on Infinite Earths or Secret Wars had been done, but in 1942. So we're going to kind of mix up the classic style, the way that they did those comics, the way they did the storytelling, with a little bit, you know, modern take on the art. It's not going to be like all 9-panel grids or anything like that, but basically do a Crisis event, big crossover thing with some characters that I'm telling you, you do not expect them to show up, and they're going to be a pretty big part of the story. That picks up on the threads of Scarlet Twilight and takes them in a pretty big direction with a lot of good surprises, I think. So I'm going to basically see how each book does and decide what to do next. But right now, I'm kind of thinking the next August story is going to be the next one.
nice. So you got some stuff going on. That's exciting. I always, even when you can't necessarily talk about it, you know, it's one of the scariest things about the indie comics that I think is just like a lot of you guys have really cool stuff come out, and then it's very easy to vanish, or it's very easy to get disenchanted, and you know, if you think the work does, not you, the general you thinks the work doesn't pay off, or you know, it's a bummer, and it happens sometimes with Kickstarter. Like, maybe the Kickstarter doesn't fund as well as you want, and then like, do I want to do this again? Is definitely something that like bounces around in a lot of creators' heads. And so it's always good news when you guys are like have multiple things, like, you know, on the pipeline, getting ready to roll out, especially when, like what you just said, when you're like, I think this is what's going to be next, probably. So like, when you get to that point where you're like trying to decide what the next project release is just on your end, and not from like working with other creatives, like it's a good problem to have. And I'm very, very happy to hear it, because as I mentioned, I don't know if you guys heard me, the numerous times I've said this, Benjamin is so freaking talented, and he's just such a generally nice, kind guy and comic books need more people like him, and definitely comic book pages need more artwork like what he's producing. And so, yeah, I just, I want you to stay around for till your fucking hands fall off, basically. Like,
that is the plan.
Well, I'm good. And I'm excited to watch this Zoop campaign continue. And I hope that you find, I hope your returning audience comes to support you, but I hope you find a lot of new people. I hope a lot of new people get to experience the wild sci-fi of Benjamin Morse and the really, really endearing story of August, who just, like I said, he's got those good vibes, and he's got that good hair for a while.
Good hair. Yeah. That's what I borrowed that from Luke. I gave him Luke Skywalker's haircut, and I kind of wanted visually. I was thinking like Archie and Luke Skywalker.
Nice.
Like he's got the freckles in most panels, and in the hair color, of course. And then I wanted him to seem like he was from the 70s and the 80s. Yeah, that's definitely something I threw in there to be like, yeah, he was one of those. I didn't want to go the full He-Man haircut because that's just a little bit too far. But, I wanted it to be dated. Like, okay, yeah, this character is a modern drawing of what I saw when I was a kid. That's definitely from the get-go what I wanted him to be. Like I wanted him to make you think of a few things at once, and then maybe also when you see that in that way, you think like it reminds me of something older. The fact that he behaves a lot differently, he's in different situations, I hope makes a little bit more of an impact.
Yeah, and he made an impact with me, and so I'd be hard pressed, I'd reach out to me if you read some of Benjamin's comics and don't like them. I want to know what weirdo.
Well, actually, if you do want to check it out, I'll throw this in the private chat, Blake, if you can post it. I have 85 pages of this free to read now.
Hey. All right.
And we have links to the campaign in there. So if you want to check it out, if you're not sure, if you're on the fence, I know that I love this story. I love this character. I love being able to put all this back matter into the book. I'm excited because that gives you kind of a chance not just to see the story, but to kind of see how much fun it was to create it and go through all these different versions. There was a lot of great stuff there, and it was fun to do every part of it. So I hope that doing the hardcover shares a little bit of that with you. And if you're on the fence for this, I know, a hardcover is a pretty high price point. I definitely understand that. And didn't want to really step on the, wanted to make sure this was a unique product. And that's why we went with a hardcover. But obviously they cost a bit to ship. They cost a bit to make. Mm-hmm. But if you're on the fence, I have a lot of confidence in this. So we have 85 pages of it up on this Google Drive link. You can check out links to the campaign from there. So you can see a lot of the stuff we're talking about. You see a bit of the story, a bit of the prequel, a lot of the concept art, and hopefully give it a shot. If it sounds like it might be for you, but you're not ready to pull the trigger on backing, a hardcover book without seeing it, you can see a good portion of it here because I think it's a good book. I'm really excited about it, and I think I just want to show it to people. I think you'll agree with me.
Yeah, that's the guts on this guy. So confident he's giving away the book for free, knowing you're going to come back and buy it. But he's right. He's right. Yeah, not the whole book, but a chunk of it. But he is right. Like I would definitely if you read this teaser and look at it and look at some of the concept art and where the story came from and how it evolved and what it is now. It's like I said, it's hard to say no once you dive into the story, because you're going to want to know how it ends, and B, you're going to want it on your bookshelf. You're going to look at it and say, man, I need this in my life. I need to I need this a real physical edition, to display, to put proudly in my home. It deserves a spot, is what I'm trying to say.
And when we have all four of these side by side lined up, that the design is going to be the same. It's going to look really great on a shelf, and I'm really pumped for that too. So
you're not going to pull a DC and change the spine layout two volumes.
I don't know why they do that. I'm not a big collector, but I see the people complaining about it. I'm like, oh my god, why does it happen? I'm sure there's practical reason. I don't know what it is, but that's definitely something I'm like, I want to reassure everybody, hey, it's going to stay the same. You're going to put them side by side. They're going to look really cool lined up.
Yeah. I get why people are mad I mean, I still buy them. Like the new Marvel omnibus spines on the dust jackets are kind of weird. Like they like shrunk the images down real small. They look real goofy next to like the new Uncanny X-Men omnibuses, like with the reprints next to the original ones look kind of silly, but you know, I still buy them sometimes. But anyway, but yeah, it's what's like the spine, I call them spine purists. But no, it's that's good. That's good to know.
I completely understand that.
Yeah.
Too. When I was finalizing the spine design before we sent it to create the print files for August, I was like, all right, dude, you really got to look at this because you're stuck with this for a long time. Yeah. You can't change it, you know, like, so I really had to give it a day or two and wake up and look at it and make sure it still looked cool to me.
Nice. I think the mock-up on the Zoop page looks great. So I mean, if it's gonna come out looking like that with that actual, you know, like nice paper heft, you know, it's like a over 200 page hardcover. It's gonna be a nice book to hold and read and dive into. And yeah, it's a real great story too. So yeah, definitely check out that link in the comments. Give it a little taste, and I'm sure Benjamin would like to hear from you and hear what you think too. Like, let him know. With these days, Benjamin, where I know you're still on X.
I am on X, yes.
Where is that still like where's the best places to find you?
That's a good place to find me. You can find me on Twitter or X at Benjamin W. Morse. I'm going to throw that in the chat. You can find me there. You can find me on YouTube at Benjamin Morse, comic book artist. And you can find me on Instagram at Benjamin Morse _art. And if you're interested in August, you can find that on Facebook. I have a page up there that is facebook.com/August comic.
Nice. Let's see. I'm copying these links.
Yeah, I forgot you don't have to jump on it right now.
You do a lot of streaming yourself now these days. Are you doing like do you do a weekly show?
I'm trying to. Yeah. I've been I kind of wanted to do more of that, partly to promote things and partly just because I really like talking about this. Is something I found when I started doing all these streams to promote Scarlet Twilight is, boy, you really can't shut me up once I start talking about comics.
Same.
So, you know, I was like, I really want more of that, even if it's, you know, like even if I don't have anything live right now, I still love going out there and talking about, I don't know, Gene Colan artwork from 1973 or something like that. I can get going on that for hours. So I've been talking to some other creators. Daniel's been on, Charlie's been on. I'm trying to do that mostly Mondays. It's a little bit flexible, just scheduling wise, especially when, we have a campaign going, but,
so I come in and just fuck up your whole day.
No. I picked today. I knew I had a lot of other stuff this week and it was probably the only time that made most sense anyway. But I will try to do more of that and throwing up videos and shorts on my YouTube. And I like to post a lot of process stuff and really just kind of talk through my process on this, because it's a lot of fun to create this stuff. Even the stuff you don't use is pretty cool a lot of times, I think. Yeah. And it's fun to talk about it. It's fun to share in the video or to talk with people, talk online with other creators about it. Obviously, other creators like Charlie and Daniel have great worlds of their own that I'm, I don't want to get too far ahead, but I'm working on stuff with each of them.
Nice.
It's fun to go into their worlds because they have these great characters and these great universes that just expand and have a lot of fun things in them as well. So it's awesome to talk to other creators. It's awesome to talk about projects. Just talk about all these great comic creators that have inspired us to do what we're doing. So yeah, that's cool. Pretty much at the root of it.
I'm gonna tell myself that I inspired you to do that, because you definitely weren't streaming.
That was the first thing, Blake. Exactly.
It all comes back to me, baby. No, I do think it's cool, and that's something, as we talked about in the sponsorship episode when we announced my sponsorship by Metal Ninja Studios. That's something we're gonna start messing around with too. Eventually, is like educational content because I get a huge chunk of my audience is indie creators. Like I won't lie. I know who watches my videos and who hangs around and like, it's awesome. I love it. I do wish we could expand and get more consumers in too, because I want, I want to help you guys, your audience, grow and stuff too. And it's getting there. But anyways, long story short, a lot of comic pros watch the channel, and like, stupid camera focus. So like eventually we're gonna start doing like, like my boss Joel does like lettering videos or like design videos, and then like we may even do stuff about like, pitching pitch documents, and even like, how to approach press and reviewers, and some do's and don'ts in that regard, like use the person's right fucking name maybe, but no, I'm not going to go back into that, but you all know that.
I shouldn't have sent that first message. She's like, Mr. Buzz, could I please come on your show and talk about my comic? That was a huge faux pas. I'm sorry.
But no, like someone called me Shane a while back, and then I even changed my Twitter handle to Shane Says instead of Blake's Buzz. Nice. And then I realized that like that's probably a no for branding. It's like we're trying to build an audience, and I'm trying to be a dick online. They don't work hand in hand. But no, and so like we want to kind of start doing stuff like that too. So I like that there are other channels out there, there's process nerds too, and people that will like watch that, but also like, yes, like put that stuff out there, and talk to new artists and show them what you do, and help get that out there, man. Cause like, I mean, I don't want people to like steal your ideas and stuff, but like, learn from the greats, right? Like learn from people that can inspire you, learn from people that make inspiring content. And Benjamin is one of those people. And so, yeah, like definitely check out his channel and nerd out with him on Mondays. Cause he knows a lot, and I like that you're still excited enough and passionate enough about it, and nothing's like broke you yet. So you're like wanting to do extra work, right?
It seems pretty ominous, but okay.
Well, cause it's some people get, but it's I've even been there, man. Like there's been time I've talked about quitting. I've not lately because it's my job now, but before all then, it was just like, sometimes I was like, why am I doing this? And does anyone even watch it? Does anyone even care? And obviously I was very wrong, and we all get into dark places, but I was lucky enough to have people remind me that like, dude, you don't want to, well, I didn't really want to quit, but like to remind me that like, people would be sad if you weren't around and doing whatever. And so it does get tough, and especially when sometimes you get caught up in like metrics, and you look at other channels, and you put a lot of effort in, and sometimes it isn't always reciprocated, but it's a long game, and comics itself is a long game. I was talking to someone about this the other night, and just saying like, I think a lot of times we all forget how long the comic game is. I was in, as you all know, I was in that MFA program, and I tried to get published for a really long time. I wrote a novel when I was 22. It was dog shit, but I tried to publish it, and I realized later it was dog shit. But like I did a lot of poetry, I did a lot of short stories. I won a couple awards, but I never got anything published, and I quit writing for a very, very, very long time. And now finally I'm 37, and I wrote a comic book, and I'm going to be in an anthology. And so you never know what's going to happen. And so long story short, just don't give up. It's okay to get sad. It's okay to get mad. Vent to your friends, make sure you always have someone to talk to. But like, stay out there, stay strong, and keep putting the good stuff out there. And eventually, even when the universe likes to be a dick a lot, eventually the universe is going to be like, okay, we'll give the guy a break. Fine. And it's just like, he's
not going to go away. Let's just
he's not going to shut up. We tried really hard. Daniel says he knows the feelings. Yeah, we've all been there, and it's and anyways, long story short, I'm glad that Benjamin is using his voice for other things than just telling stories. And even though he's very good at telling stories, I'm glad he's out there like supporting the indie community, giving people giving people something else to focus on and learn from. A lot of people don't have time for that, or won't make time for that. And I just think it's really cool that you're doing that and sticking with it.
It's hard to find time, but it's fun. I mean, it's great fun. So
it is fun. Like even I've said that too. Like even when I have like a bad or rough day, or I'm tired, like like there's sometimes where I'm like, man, I wish I didn't have a show tonight. But like as soon as I drop this mic down and like sit, and then it's like boom, like I'm like, why would I not want to do this? It's just like the mic goes live and so does Blake. But yeah, it's just cool. And you have a good personality too. Like it's nice to listen to you talk. It's cool to watch you draw. It's cool. It really it all works. And so I definitely hope that you keep that going and that you continue to find the time to have your channel grow and bring more people in. Because like I said, I think a lot of artists could learn from you, man. I really do, and writers too. Like you have a lot of knowledge and know-how that like we could all leech off of and become better. so keep
I hope so.
keep feeding the hungry people. Is a bit long story short. But yeah, like we posted his links on where to follow him, everybody. So I really encourage you to do that. He's a good follow on social media. He's always posting gorgeous art. His Instagram is beautiful. Like just scrolling through his Instagram is a very pleasant like venture through super heroics and sci-fi. And it's a nice like, I love cute dancing women and food posts and stuff too, but it's nice to switch it up every now, because I feel like that's all I get from Instagram is like gorgeous girls dancing, lots of good food. I don't ever get a lot of like comic book stuff that Instagram it's always like weird shit like that. So it's nice to like stumble across. I don't understand those algorithms, man. It's I get tons of dog videos, and then I swear that Instagram knows when I'm sad, and they send me dead dog videos, like like people that like the sad music plays, and they play like clips of their dog that passed, and they're like, I miss you, and then I'm fucking crying because I miss my dogs.
That would
dude,
shut me down.
It fucks me up. And when I get them,
watch Guardians of the Galaxy #3 because of that.
Oh God, it's worth it though. It really is. But yeah, Guardians. I was ugly crying. I told my dad, like my dad. I was like, Dad, Guardians is on Disney, and he was like, I watched it, man. Have you watched it yet? And I was like, no, not yet. And he was like, I was fucking crying. I didn't know that movie was gonna make me cry. And I was like, uh-oh. And then, but yeah, there's a couple parts. The animal cruelty is intense, but they're very smart with how they do that. I
imagine they would.
It's not torture porn, right?
I'm sure it isn't.
There's some real big moments that just like really, really, really squeeze you. And then there's also some really like, there's like happy tear moments too, where like that movie makes you vulnerable as fuck, basically, right? Like you're so vulnerable. And then when things calm down and the end happens and happy stuff happens, and you tear up again because you're just like, oh God. And it's just like, yeah, I was a mess, dude. I remember I got done watching that at like, I didn't realize it was almost 3 hours long. So I started watching it late, and it was almost like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. And it's Bruce, my new puppy, was sleeping next to me for a while. And so that was a little, because he was like right next to me. And then I don't know if I had headphones on watching it, and I don't know if I was crying too loud or what, but he finally like got up and he was like, I'm going to get away from you. Like, but yeah, there was just a lot of elements. And I'm obsessed with Rocket Raccoon. I love that. I love that dude. He's crazy. And this Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 could have just been called Rocket Raccoon and Friends. And that's basically what it is. And not only did like this showcase him, like it made the trilogy was his. Like it just like really brought him into a new light. And it was what James Gunn did was fucking magical. And I like having this be his like Marvel, like walk away from Marvel territory, like into DC. I have no idea what to be other than massively excited for what he's going to bring to the DC world. But yeah, anyway, you will cry. There's a couple intense parts, but it is also I'm
super tough. I'm not going to cry. I'm telling the world. And I'm going to watch this by myself, and nobody's ever going to know.
It's like I've never been able to watch what's that movie? Marley and Me with Owen Wilson?
I wouldn't even attempt it.
No.
I know what goes on. No.
Yeah, I know what happens, and I can't I can't do it, guys, because it's weird. I've joked around about this. That, like I could watch a movie about aliens that like eat babies, that like steal babies from hospitals and like fry them and eat them for breakfast, and I'll eat like a hot dog while I'm watching it. Like that's not going to phase me. You fuck with animals in a movie, and it just gets me. But you know, I've brought dogs in off the street, and you know, and we treat. Our dogs very much like figure out not long after we get them, they run this house, right? So they're very much like, we let ourselves be manipulated by animals in this house, and it's fine, and we love it. And so it gets a little bit intense. But I Guardians of the Galaxy was just amazing. I think I have two favorite Marvel movies now, and I don't know which one wins, and it's Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And I actually almost tweeted. I know they're both like wildly different in tone of the MCU too. But I almost tweeted that, you know, because I'm of that age where the when people say the trilogy, you know, it usually means Star Wars, but now it means Lord of the Rings every now and then too, right? When we talk of this trilogy. And I was kind of thinking, and I liked the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and I was a part of it, and I worked at Blockbuster when it came out on VHS initially. I'm like, wow, like let's age ourselves. But like I was like, you know, I think Guardians of the Galaxy is my trilogy. Like if I refer to something as a trilogy, and then of course I thought about I was like, hey, that might make a good tweet. And then I was like, yeah, a good tweet for people to fucking come at me. I was like, I'm just going to piss everybody off if I say that. So I ended up not saying it, but I do feel, I think I feel that. And yeah, ever since finishing watching it, all I've wanted to do is watch it again and rewatch. And I want to rewatch the trilogy.
The real test, you know, do you want to watch it again?
Yeah, right. Because I don't do that a lot. You know, even with comics, there's stuff where I'd like to read it again, but you know, usually when I read stuff multiple times, it's to prep for something like this, right? It's to read something before an interview, or like reread something if I know I'm finally going to get to interview a guest, you know. And it's just when you have a job like mine, and when you cover so much stuff, you have to be careful with the content that it's so you just gotta, you don't get the opportunity to reread stuff or rewatch a lot of movies, because you got to make time to watch something new and then get back to work. So, but yeah, it's all I've thought about is watching it again. And yeah, anyways, I know you came on to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy and not your awesome comics.
I know it's not that dissimilar. And honestly, like I said, man, I just like talking about this stuff. It's really fun. Whether I have a comic coming out or not, it's just like, yeah, this is great to do.
Because it's, you know, sometimes it's like we don't know if anyone ever hears us, right? Like if we make a YouTube short or a pre-recorded video or something, I mean, you can see the views, but what is a YouTube view? And it, like, you only have to watch it for, like, if it's a short, a few seconds, if it's a long video, a minute or so. So you never really know, like,
did that.
Yeah, I'm probably incorrect in how I'm breaking that down, but it's akin to what I'm saying. But you never really know, like, how much of your content people are actually experiencing. And so, you know, a lot of times, and I've heard comic book creators say the same thing. It's like screaming into a void, you know, and it's just I'm making all this stuff and I don't know if it's impacting people. And then all of a sudden you get on a show and talk to someone who really dug your shit. And then maybe some people pop up in the comments and they're like, oh, this looks cool. Or I read it too, or I backed it. And then it's like, wow, people do see me. I'm not just screaming at nobody. And that is nice. And it's the same for content creators. Like, you know, when people come on and say they had a great time on the show and we vibe and have a good conversation, and, you know, we talk about the books, but, you know, then we talk about toys and we talk about, you know, sci-fi properties that from us growing up, and, you know, my best friend's mom having an affair with my sensei, and, like, you know, you never know.
That particular family is pretty unhappy with the way this stream went.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God. I
doubt they watch it. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? But you know, it's just it is nice. And I mean, especially, like, you know, I'm boring. Like, I don't go out as much these days. I'm not a bar hopper anymore. You know, I just, you know, like, my close friends and family, and we do like dinner parties, and you know, football season's big for us. So, like, football season's gonna be fun, but, you know, it's just, you know,
That's right. We're gonna have static once that starts up again. Yeah, it's gonna happen.
I hear that so much. Like I quit I usually wear like my Marvel hats now during the live streams because I've it's funny because I won't it's always like with the Philly guys and I won't think about it and I'll like randomly have a Chiefs hat on and they're like, really? Would you do plan that? And I'm like, oh, I really didn't. Oh my god. And so that's been a couple fun conversations. But yeah, it's just nice to have these conversations and to get to nerd out because you know I don't know what your life is like outside of this, but you know my friends and family support the show and like it and think what I do is cool. And like I mentioned, like my dad watches the movies sometimes and we can kind of talk about it, but a lot, you know, I don't know anyone in real life that reads comics and stuff, you know, and so I don't get to nerd out in that way that I do by doing this several nights a week, right? And it's basically I'm hanging by a thread, ladies and gentlemen, and this is Blake's Buzz is the only connective tissue left. I'm kidding, it's not that bad, but it's so nice, and so I totally feel you there. Where having that channel, that outlet, it really does it changes your outlook on a lot of stuff, and I think keeps us a little more positive about this industry we're wrapped up in, even when sometimes it's hard to be positive about the industry we're wrapped up in. Maybe
absolutely.
I don't know. Yeah. So, you know, long story short, find nerdy people to talk to and your life will be better. It really will. And if you want to make your life even extra better, you head on over to Zoop, you back Benjamin Morse, August, Purgatory Underground, and maybe get some of that original art. Maybe get you one of those remarks that looks real exciting, that Benjamin's going to be hammering out once the campaign finishes and printing and all that goes down. Like $80 for a nice hardcover with a nice sketch on the inside of it is not is not a bad deal. I paid a lot more money at Planet Comic-Con for some remark stuff for books I already had. And I, you know, no regrets, but like I said, we always keep an eye on these crowdfunding campaigns in regards of sketches and original art. Cause like if you're venturing into that side of collecting, God help you. Cause I started to for a second and it got way crazy. I have one Ninja Turtle page and that's probably all I'll ever have. And I have some art behind me, but like, it takes an expensive hobby to the next level. You know, it's like, it's like, I like to smoke a joint every now and then. Let's go do cocaine. It's like, I'm supposed to not make cocaine jokes anymore, but that's pertinent. And it's about like price wise, it's very similar to like to watch your money disappear when you start collecting art anyway. But yeah, keep an eye on these Kickstarter campaigns. Cause you really, really can, save a lot of money and get some really cool stuff that you won't be able to get at shows, at conventions. And then a lot of these people are going to, you know, eventually like, you know, a lot of these people have like leveled up or won like the Skybound art contest or whatever. Like, and then they get like big 2 jobs and then guess who's not selling $40 sketches anymore at cons, you know. So things can happen. And I really encourage you guys to check that out. And again, like August, Purgatory Underground is so good. Benjamin, you've done such a good job. You did such a, and with design and everything too. It's a beautiful book. The back matter's awesome. The sketches are awesome. The bonus story's awesome. There's so much fun to be had, cover to cover. Just you're never unhappy to turn a page, and everything I continue to read from you, it stays the same like that, dude. It's when I read your stuff, I'm burning and turning and I'm sad when it's over. And I love that you just refuse to do anything other than be excellent. So yeah, no pressure, but
that is the goal.
Keep doing
I think there's more coming down the pipeline, and I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. And I think it's gonna be surprising.
Nice. Well, I've kept you about an hour and a half. You know, I tell everybody I'm going to try and keep these to an hour, and then I just don't know how to shut up. But you know, it's been such a great, always a pleasure catching up with you. I love having you on the show. Anytime, you know, in the future, like new stuff coming out, man, if you want to come back on, Blake's Buzz is always here for you. Anytime, anywhere, any place. And then do you have anything else you'd like to shout out or anything, or
not too much? I've hinted at the projects I'm working on that I can mention. They're mine. And there's a few other things, like I said, I don't want to announce quite yet. I'm not quite sure where announcement wise they are. But yeah, just check out those sites in the comments, or obviously the campaign on Zoop, and you can kind of catch up with me there. And yeah, like I've hinted at, there's a lot of cool stuff coming down the pipeline too. So I hope if you're into this stuff, if you're into like, these classic comics and doing really cool stuff with those ideas, with those things we grew up with that we like, I hope you'll come with me on this trip, because that's what I'm going to keep doing.
Damn right, man. Go on the Morse journey. Check it out. Hop on the train. It'll take you to awesome comics. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back. I got shows every night this week. Blake and Cole read a book tomorrow. Tony Gregori with another Zoop campaign is on
cool.
Wednesday. Thursday got a show. Friday I'm a guest. I'm doing a guest for I'm going to be on the I can't ever remember Timothy's show's name. Something cryptid.
Oh, I know it. Timothy Fling.
Yeah.
Okay. God, what's the name of that show?
I feel like it changes, or it has changed. Anyway, I'll be on Timothy Fling's show on Friday, I think, with some other Cthulhu folks talking about that anthology. Awesome. And then other than that, like follow Benjamin, follow me, follow Metal Ninja Studios. We got a cool campaign coming up on Metal Ninja with Dust County Chronicles Nightfall issue 3. The arc is ending and everything is connected in wonderful ways. We'll be talking more about that on the channel as well. In the meantime, love more, hate less, read comics, watch Guardians of the Galaxy 3, buy Benjamin's comics, be nice to people, don't fuck your karate instructor, unless you're both single and it's consensual, then it's fine. But that's just gonna keep popping out now in like weird times. I feel like in future shows, it's gonna be the new Blake talking about his MFA program. Anyways, Benjamin, thank you so much for your time, your patience, and your always wonderful attitude. You're always a wonderful guest, and I really do love reading everything you put out. And I hope that other people listen to me and check out your Zoop campaign, because it's definitely worth it. And so yeah, the links are in the chats, the links are in the comments. If you're watching this later, thanks. If you watched it live, thanks. We'll see you guys tomorrow, and I hope everybody has an awesome night. Where's the button?
It's Blake's Buzz Live.